Number 8.
I think Sean Mannion, the new OC, is going to work. I thought Tariq Woolen, grabbing him at corner, I didn't think it was a position of need. The Eagles now have the best cornerback trio in the league by a lot. So it's not like they didn't have enough talent defensively. Now they added an elite Pro Bowl level corner. I think Mannion, listen, Nick Sirianni is very coordinator dependent. Okay, that's just the reality. He needs a Kellen Moore. He needs a Shane Steichen. I think Mannion could be good. I have Philly at 8.
Colin Cowherd seems to have finally arrived at a place with the Philadelphia Eagles that resembles consistency, though the journey there has been anything but linear. It's almost amusing to track how his perspective has shifted. He previously emphasized the value of having a CEO-type coach, suggesting you don't want someone overly involved in one side of the ball. Yet he praised Sean Payton for relinquishing play-calling duties. There's always this emphasis on Nick Sirianni being coordinator-dependent, as if that's some inherent weakness, but apparently it's acceptable when applied to other coaches. Jim Harbaugh literally had to go out and secure an offensive coordinator who will run that entire side of the ball, and Harbaugh doesn't control the defense either. But that's neither here nor there at this moment. What is interesting is seeing Colin place the Eagles at number 8 in his recent rankings, considering how much doom and gloom has surrounded this franchise in recent discourse. I'm genuinely curious why he now believes Kevin Patullo will find success with this iteration of the Eagles. What changed? What evidence supports that confidence now, when it was lacking previously? For me, one of the biggest wild cards, the most significant question mark hovering over this team, is the offensive line. This concern is amplified by the fact that 2 of the linemen reportedly traveled internationally for treatment on what I believe are their knees. Stem cell therapy, regenerative medicine, all that cutting-edge stuff. They've restructured some deals to create cap flexibility, shorter years, lower money. There is a potential fragility to this unit that cannot be ignored. I've gone on record stating that as long as the offensive line is merely competent, as long as it's not an active liability, we should see substantial growth and stability from the offense overall. Last season, they lacked that desperately. The line wasn't good enough, which created cascading issues affecting Saquon Barkley and everyone else. Some of those problems could potentially be mitigated by better coaching. Don't be so predictable in your play calling. Don't telegraph your intentions. But ultimately, this is a hybrid situation, requiring both improved line play and better coordination. I'm looking for the Eagles to evolve beyond what they've shown previously. I want to see Jalen Hurts improve, grow, develop as a quarterback. I believe he absolutely can. I'm known around these parts as a Jalen Hurts defender, and I stand by that. But defending him doesn't mean ignoring areas where growth is possible. I want to see him evolve. I want to see him make plays. And when I say make plays, I don't necessarily mean spectacular highlight reel moments. I mean fundamental basic plays we haven't seen consistently over the past few seasons. I want to see new tools in the toolbox. I want to see more balance. I want to see a smarter, more strategic, more balanced offense operating under Hurts' direction. I believe this is achievable with the right coaching. That's why I'm excited to see if they can incorporate elements of what makes someone like Brock Purdy effective into Hurts' game. Let me be clear about this comparison. I believe Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy overall. But Purdy does certain things exceptionally well that Hurts could potentially integrate into his own approach. Timing, rhythm, precision within the structure of the offense. If we start seeing more of those elements in Hurts' game, we're talking about developing a quarterback that people can no longer question in terms of his standing among peers. There will always be debates about who belongs in the top 3, top 5, top 10. That's inevitable. But people still genuinely question whether Hurts belongs in the top 10 conversation at all. They debate whether he's truly great or merely okay. Those conversations persist. If he can add that element of timing-based efficiency to his existing strengths, those questions become much harder to sustain. I've been discussing this concept frequently, particularly in relation to Kyler Murray and the Minnesota Vikings. The importance of operating within the timing and rhythm of an offense, specifically in the passing game, cannot be overstated. If Hurts can develop that dimension with Kevin Patullo, and again, this requires the right coaching and continuity which Hurts has simply not enjoyed consistently, the offensive potential becomes terrifying. You're talking about essentially game over for opposing defenses. That's why my focus remains on the offensive line achieving baseline competence. I know the defense will be excellent. There will be variations in exactly how excellent, obviously. You can't expect the Eagles' defense to be the #1 unit year after year, regardless of personnel and circumstances. Vic Fangio is excellent, but there are always ebbs and flows. That's why I'm approaching my predictions through a lens of competence versus liability. Is the offensive line competent or a liability? Is the run game competent or a liability? Is the defense competent or a liability? As long as they avoid glaring liabilities on either side of the ball, regardless of which specific unit we examine, I believe Patullo and Hurts as a duo will generate meaningful growth and development. That combination should produce a more consistent, reliable, threatening Eagles offense. If you can combine that baseline competence with actual greatness or elite performance from certain units, whether defense or offensive line or whatever, that's when you take an even more significant step forward. The Eagles will continue being one of the most fascinating teams in the league, as they always are. Every season, every week, every month, whether it's March or November. I genuinely like a lot of what this organization does. I don't have strong questions or doubts about the defensive side. My concerns center on offensive line health and Hurts' development with Patullo. Even if the line maintains exactly the same health level as last season, I think execution will improve simply because of better coordination. But the health question is legitimate and fair to raise. The growth potential between Hurts and Patullo represents the other major variable. I believe Hurts finally has a coach who will emphasize making him fundamentally better as a quarterback in ways that simply haven't existed over these past few years. That emphasis hasn't been present. Now it might be. I'm genuinely excited to see what that looks like. Colin ranking them 8th overall in whatever context he's using. Off-season power rankings, preseason projections, however we want to define it. That's essentially a top 3 placement for this franchise given the discourse. That's equivalent to calling them Super Bowl contenders. Considering everything Colin has said about the Eagles since approximately December, that's a pretty significant win. That's them making the Super Bowl in his estimation, relatively speaking. I'm curious how you all feel about the Eagles at this moment. Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single response, whether agreement or disagreement drives your perspective. Let's generate meaningful discussion, maybe some healthy debate, but ultimately keep it enjoyable. Please consider subscribing if you appreciate this content. We're building a community that I hope feels genuinely connected and invested. Your participation matters enormously. Remember to like this video as it supports visibility and algorithmic reach. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next discussion.